Hello, you are listening to From McClay to Zama. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who worked for the U.S. Army at Camp Zama, Japan, from 1953 to 1955. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Welcome to episode 25, Commendation. This episode includes letters 68 to 71. Letter 68 is from Peg and was written January 2nd, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, Happy New Year. It's a lovely day today, but we're both kind of pooped, so we're spending the day at home and trying to catch up on the zillions of letters and notes that we must write. I had a lovely New Year's Eve. We went over to Atsugi, and the place was really jumping. Red Dog liked my dress, and then started my evening off very nicely because he seldom comments on what I'm wearing. The place was decorated with balloons and streamers, and we all wore hats and noisemakers, typically New Year's. I got to bed about 4:30, and when I walked to my room, it was like walking into a refrigerator. So I slept in my flannel pajamas, chenille bathrobe, and a pair of tabbies, 3 blankets, and a bedspread. That day, Thursday, was absolutely the coldest day I've ever seen. Bern and I went into Yokohama on Thursday afternoon and did Tokusan shopping. I dropped my watch up at Fuji View and must have it repaired, so I took it into the PX. It will cost $3.10, which includes cleaning. The same thing would cost about $8 back there. We also bought gifts for Papa-san and Barbara, which we will mail this week. When's Emmett's birthday? Yesterday, we went into Tokyo to see the gals all dressed up in their fancy kimonos and hairdresses. New Year's is the biggest day of the year for these people. The Imperial Gardens are usually open on New Year's, and we walked over to see them, but they're open today instead. We saw quite a few pretty kimonos, but we thought there would be more. Then we went to see the robe and were very impressed. It was just magnificent. However, I can't see too many advantages of CinemaScope over a regular movie, can you? Lieutenant Israeloff's last official duty was typing the enclosed letter. It is strictly a bunch of shit, and I mean it because, so help me, all I do is gripe and complain. However, it will look good in my 201 file. He was awarded the Bronze Star Medal for outstanding work. Ha! The Army awards either the Bronze Star or the Legion of Merit to every officer that leaves the command, which, in the opinion of many people, certainly lowers the value of the awards. That's why I'm not at all impressed with my letter of commendation. And check the crazy note that Colonel Van Tool wrote after I had him read it. The note is written, Van Tool's note is written on a torn-out calendar page, and it says, "This is good, but I wish you'd seen what I wrote up for my chauffeur, VT." My letters are sure getting shorter and shorter, aren't they? I'll be a better writer, though, when I can use a typewriter again. Besides, I'm not really in the mood to write today, although I just must answer some of these. Love, Peg. P.S. I just read over this letter, and it sure is a dull one, isn't it? Now I will read the letter of commendation for you. It's very impressive looking, so her comments about it kind of disappointed me. It's typed, and the top says, Headquarters, United States Army Forces Far East, Medical Section, APO 343. And then it says, MD-EP 201.22, December 31st, 1953, subject, letter of commendation. To Miss Margaret A. Harnish, Medical Section, Headquarters, Army Forces Far East, APO 343. And then each paragraph is numbered. Number 1. Upon the termination of my tour of duty with Medical Section as Chief Editorial and Publications Branch, I wish to commend you and express my sincerest appreciation for your outstanding performance as my immediate assistant. You commenced work at this branch as a replacement for a Department of the Army civilian of officer grade who had served as assistant to the chief for many years. Nevertheless, you displayed at all times an eagerness to learn and willingness to do any task assigned to you. Although given tasks of great responsibility, I soon learned that you could be relied upon to complete expeditiously every project and master your many duties with maximum efficiency. You prove to be, at all times, a most gracious, pleasant, enthusiastic, and agreeable person with whom to work. Without your assistance, much of the highly important work of this section could not have been accomplished. Your efforts have played no small part in the success of the Army Medical Service in this command. Joseph Israeloff, First Lieutenant, MSc, Chief Editor and Publisher. Well, there you go. I thought it was impressive. So the next letter is letter 69, and it's from Bern, written the 7th of January, 1954. Hi, folks. This is just a scoshy note, mostly about business. But before I start, let me tell you that it is extremely nice to walk into my room and see you smiling at me from the bedside table. It makes the whole room much cozier. If you had not yet received from Augsburg withholding tax statements or from New Cumberland Depot, will you please check into the matter and see if you can arrange for them to be sent? I can't fill out my income tax forms without them, and I take a dim view of being sent home from Japan to languish in jail. If necessary, call Thelma, and perhaps she can trace the depot forms for me. Next, Helen-san, will you please pay my Eastern Star dues? Better pay 2 years because the 1953 dues are past due, and I should have the 54 card too. Thank you. There's a visiting dignitary at the meeting in Yokohama tonight. We both would like to go, but the weather has turned very cold. Army buses have no heaters, and we are saving our energy for a weekend with Jeanette in Tokyo. She's a real good kid. We'd have lots less fun without her in the picture. By my reckoning, there should have been enough in the bank to take care of paying the January insurance payments. Next time I will send a money order. What is the balance as of this minute? By the way, I thought I gave strict orders, Helen, that you guys were to use my Christmas club money. Didn't you say Dad deposited it? What's the big idea? I've been booking my money regularly over here, so anytime the Camp Curtin account gets low, please don't hesitate to remind me. I really have plenty to take care of my responsibilities. Daddy, your letter was real nice. I told Betty, Cartmel, and Major Kingan the Pentagon joke. It went over big, and Major Kingan said the answer to your question about it applying to special services is yes. We'll write next week and tell you all about the Takarazuka dancers. We expect to see them perform over the weekend. Much love, Bern. P.S. Did you know that Penn State is now officially a Pennsylvania State University? A promotion, huh? Letter 70 is from Peg, written the 11th of January, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, this is 1 week I can truthfully say that I'm glad I'm not home. Farm show week. I'm thinking a lot about you and how you must be bending your friends' ears with news of the girls. Did Mr. Shearer show up? And Mother and Father, please don't hesitate to take money out of my account for anything you need, because you said, Mother, that you needed a new spring hat. Well, just take the money out because I have more in than I thought I did, according to your last report. I guess you can tell from this that I received your latest letter this morning and am commenting on various things in it. I can sure picture the house, though, this week, with all the folks in and out and Blondie throwing fits when the door opens. Did Ford pitch a good one this year? Before I forget to tell you, did you get the pictures of Zama that I sent you? I'm typing this on my lunch hour. I went down to the snack bar downstairs and got a sandwich, potato salad, and a Coke, and brought it up here to eat while I used the rest of my lunch hour to give you a treat and type a letter for a change. Right now, I'll discuss my job, and then I'm going to go back to comments on your letter. See what I mean? I never ramble on like this when I have to write a letter, when I have to handwrite a letter. The lieutenant left, as I said before, and I really can stand the job now. No one bothers me except to kid me or ask my valued opinion about some domestic problems. Mr. Brown does that all the time. He doesn't have any problems because he's the happiest married man I know, but I have to tell him how wonderful he and his wife get along and admire the latest pictures of them that he has taken. So I sit at my little old desk and either work steadily or goof off, and no one knows the difference. I'm pretty busy today, but just enough to keep me going without goofing off. Yesterday was 6 months that we got here. It hardly seems possible. Then at times it seems like 6 years. What a lot we've seen, learned, and done in 6 months. The best part about it, to my way of thinking, is having met so many people in such a short time. We've met all kinds of people, and some of the biggest stinkers and some of the nicest people in the world. And I sure enjoy it. When you're introduced to someone, you never know until you speak with them for a while which type they are. But they're getting so that we can usually tell within a matter of a few minutes which type. I'm so glad that Bern and I are here together, because when we refer to giggly or creepy or sunny or charming, we'll be able to share it with each other when we get home. Can you see what I mean? She and Jeanette and I have a habit of nicknaming almost all of the people that we know in common, and other people just haven't any idea who we're talking about, except creepy. And that story will have to wait until we get home so we can act it out for you. Gee, I really get off track, don't I? I'm pretty much worried, too, about Pete. I guess I can't do anything for her except write her letters, which might pep her up a little, but she's always in our thoughts and prayers. Don't let her know that I've said that, because she might get upset that we know as much about her illness as you've told us. She might not like it. And that business about Sis, you would certainly think, wouldn't you, that somebody somewhere could find out what the allergy is and treat her successfully for it. And I know how you feel about going up there, too. I guess you don't know how she would take it, whether you were interfering or whether she really is in need of help. I just hope that she doesn't wait to call for help if she needs it. Did Grandpa like his Christmas gift from us? I hope the necklace that we got Helen was the kind she wanted. It was the only one we saw that had dolls whose heads moved, so we bought it for her. John, don't be so. Now, this is spelling will knock you for a loop. Ginter Fitzik. Ain't that a buster? Anyhow, I'll just pronounce it the way it's spelled. Just don't be that way about Shina Yora, which reminds me, your birthday present will be late, because even though Bern told you she would send it airmail, it cost $7 to send it that way, so we sent it regular mail. Much as I hate, there's too much brass around here right now to see me typing personal letters, so I'll finish this later tonight. 15 minutes to go, and I'm caught up here, so I go, brass or no brass. Saturday, Bern and I went to Tokyo for the weekend. We had tickets for a Takarazuka review, the program for which I'm sending to Nancy. If you haven't read Sayonara Means Goodbye in McCall's, please do so if you can get copies of it, and you will have some idea of what the dancers are and how they live. Anyhow, the performance was wonderful, and the scenery and costumes would equal, if not excel, any Broadway production. All for only 270 yen, too. The play started at 3 o'clock and wasn't over until 6. The play was a child's story, and 3 of the leading characters were a dog, a pheasant, and a monkey. Played, of course, by people. Well, it was the cutest thing. Of course, the dialogue was spoken in Japanese, but we could understand it by the action pretty well. A couple of times, the audience laughed at the dialogue, but we laughed along with them. One scene took place by a waterfall and stream, and the scenery was excellent. With just a skosh of imagination, it looked almost real. Then we ate at Kettle's, a German restaurant. Bern and I had roast goose with fruit stuffing, sour green cabbage, and delicious mashed potatoes. It was pretty good, but still not as good as Helen Harnish's. Mother, I certainly hope that we aren't overestimating your cooking, and I really don't think that we are, but you're just beyond compare. Please, though, don't surprise us with steak and french fries when we get home. I never think I'll be hungry for them again. I went to the dentist on Saturday, and I have a stupid old wisdom tooth to be pulled, some cavities, and they must be cleaned. Ain't that just grand? However, although I'm not too keen about letting army dentists work on me, I really don't have any choice in the matter. Some of them are okay, so maybe I'll be lucky enough to get a good one. I must lock up now. Take care of yourselves. I mean it, Mother. Isn't your knee any better? Have you received my withholding statement from the depot? Love me. Number 71, Bern. 13th of January, 1954. Dear folks, not much in the way of news to report this time. Since the holidays, our poor pocketbooks are rather flat, so we've stayed home. At least during the week we've stayed home. Johnson, you are the most exasperating man I know at times. I wanted to surprise you on your birthday by sending you some Japanese records. I wasn't going to tell you, but since you keep hinting about why don't we send them to you, what else can I do? The package probably won't arrive until early February. I thought I could airmail the records, but the packaging place put them in a heavy wooden box, and the cost would have been $7 by airmail. Taku-san money. Too much. They were mailed regular parcel post on January 6th, so I figure at least a month from that time. We had great fun selecting them with the help of a cute Japanese clerk. He told us what songs were about, and Peg had written some of the information on covers, I think. So now you know what we sent you. Are you glad? Last weekend we went to Tokyo, attended a performance of the famous Takarazuka dancers. They appeared in Momotaro, a children's fairy tale, so the story was easy to follow even though we couldn't understand the language. The settings and stage scenery were absolutely beautiful, very elaborate, and a different one for almost every scene. Peg is sending Nancy her copy of the program so you can get a better idea from that. The story is told in English in the center part of the program. This is a highly specialized group of dancers, all girls. They take all the parts, both men's and women's. The girls are trained from childhood on and are rather expected to stay with the group as long as they are able to dance. Extracurricular activities such as dating and romancing are strictly frowned upon, and on the whole, it is rather an exclusive group. Their home base or school is in Kobe in southern Japan, and they are divided into troops to tour the country. We saw the flower troop, and since we enjoyed it so very much, we expect in a few months to see the snow troop when they appear. Lovely names, nay? The performance lasted 3.5 hours, and the price was 270 yen, which is approximately 75 cents. A bargain, huh? Yesterday at the PX, I found a wonderful bargain in a winter coat, so I bought it. Peg is almost as pleased as I am, because she was getting mighty sick of seeing me in nothing but this brown coat. The one I bought is a beautiful shade of red, bright too, and cost me only $25. For that price, how can I go wrong? It has wide cuffs which can be turned back to any width, no collar, one button at the neck, and is full, but not too full, in the back. It is supposedly a second. The only thing any of us could find wrong is a small hole under the arm. The tailor had said he can fix that, so I should be all set. I'm still glad I didn't bring my good coat over here, but one really does need 2 coats, don't you agree? Anyhow, I now own 2. Here is another Japanese custom I recently heard about. Daddy, both you and I seem to get into more difficulty over prepositions. When an individual wishes for a certain day to be pleasant, as in regard to the weather, for instance, if the Harnish clan were planning a picnic and wanted to ensure sunshine, one of us would make a rain doll out of paper, very simple, stuff its head with more paper, put a string around its neck, draw features on it, and tie the whole thing to the nearest tree or bush. If the particular day did turn out to be pleasant, then as a thank you sign, we would hang a silver bell around the doll's neck and simply let it hang there until the weather had reduced the paper to nothingness. It's interesting to hear about, but sad too to think that so many people actually place their faith in images and idols. As you may have gathered, my boss is not here this morning, and I am goofing off. However, the payroll section just called and said our checks were ready, and that is one job I will be glad to take care of pronto. So sayonara for now. Much love, Bern. P.S. Thanks for already taking care of some of the business I requested in my last letter. I will keep your letter handy and answer all the questions next time when I'm right at home. Here are some clippings for you. Bye now. P.S. 2. Last night I wrote to Betty. I asked her to get some Avon face powder, but forgot to mention Avon lipstick. Please tell her I'd love a couple of tubes too. Shades Pink Rose and Avon Red, or any new shade which she thinks I might like. Domo arigato, B. Bern enclosed a church bulletin and an article from the Tokyo Times about a reception given for an Eastern Star dignitary that was visiting. I've noticed that they are now calling their quarters home instead of the billet. That's probably a good sign, 6 months in. I've discovered that the Takarazuka dancers were founded in 1913, and they're still going strong. The different troops are the Flower Troop, the Moon Troop, the Snow Troop, the Star Troop, and the Cosmos Troop. They're all female, but did briefly experiment in the 40s and 50s with having men play the male parts, but apparently the dancers did not like that, so they stopped. The tickets are still relatively inexpensive comparatively, but they're in huge demand and difficult to procure. On the topic of picnics, I remember picnics with Vern and Peg as a child, and all the food was always in, the stuff that needed to be cold was wrapped in newspapers, and then they carried it in this actual beautiful Amish basket. So that I have. It's just one of my prized possessions. And so I now know why I'm so obsessed with picnics. I love a good picnic. One of my first dates with my husband was a picnic on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And we later got married at our picnic spot. So the next time from Maclay to Zama, Anne is finally returning from her trip to the States. So I wonder what Peg's new job will be. Peg got a tooth pulled, I guess the wisdom tooth, and they finally bought the camera. I remember it was in the coolest smooth brown leather case when I was a child. Frankly, I was more obsessed with the case than anything else. I wonder what happened to it. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.FromMaclayToZama.com, where I posted photos and links from the episodes. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon as well. New episodes will be available each Friday morning. The letters were written by my aunts Vern and Peg, transcribed by me. I write and record the show and have created the artwork and original music. Our producer is Zeke, our sound engineer is intern Sylvie, and the security is provided by intern Frey. Thanks to my great-grandparents, John and Helen, who loved us all and thought it was a good idea to save the letters. All rights reserved, 2024.